We've already gone over the basic cost of storage. Today, we want to go into the cost of interest alone. We've had some conversations with farmers. We wanted to see what, was more economical. Is it easier to store beans or corn when we're talking interest rates? That's what we're going to cover today. Hopefully, we can give you guys some example alternatives as well. Keep in mind, everything we're discussing is for education and example purposes. So make sure you guys understand and know your own risk tolerance as we go through this information. I've got Craig here with me today. What are you hearing out there, Craig?
It's a good point you're bringing up here, Patrick. I know I've been talking to people on the phone here the last couple of weeks in the office, and a lot of people are in their combines now. And the combines are rolling, so the big question is store or not to store, with their crop, or sell not to sell. So this is a good topic to bring up. So what are you seeing? You talk about interest expense, and the one thing we got to remember, this is just one piece of the pie when making a decision, but it's also a very important piece of the pie when making this decision on the store or not to store.
Well, right. That's exactly it. I mean, everybody forgets interest, the cost of money, and it is a factor. So we'll start over on the corn side of things. Let's just use a $4 flat cash price. You're going to use an 8.5% interest rate, and we'll take the yield that the USDA gave us in September of 186.7. Well, when you're looking at the interest expense per acre per month, that comes out to $5.29. On the soybean side of things, we're going to use that flat cash price. We'll call it $10. Same 8.5% interest. We'll take the USDA yield at 53.5, and now you're looking at 379 a month per acre, just in interest cost for corn and soybeans. So again, for corn, about 529. For beans, you're looking at 379 a month, just in interest, not additional storage fees.
That's very interesting information that you show there, Patrick. And the one thing that pops out to me, first of all, is that it actually costs more per an acre for corn on interest costs than it does for soybeans. So that's the one thing. But the one thing that really stuck in my mind as you were showing these numbers to us here is, when you look at corn at just over $5, an acre per month on interest cost alone, if you're going to carry this crop up into, March, April, which, let's call it 6 months from now, that's an extra $30 an acre cost, going to your bottom line on raising corn. And, when we're in, an environment right now where margins are tight, with the prices that we have, this is something guys really need to look at hard and make sure that they figure this as part of their cost. Because, at $30 an acre, that can make a difference between profit and non-profit this year.
Yeah, exactly. What I do want to point out real quick is just a couple of alternatives. And again, we're just focusing on the interest cost, but let's just say we use 200 acres of corn. That 3 months of interest cost is going to run you right around $3,100. Okay. And using that yield, you're looking at roughly 37,000 bushels. Well, if you wanted to come back and re-own just 50% of your bushels, that would cost you about $3,400, $3,500 just on calls. And again, that is not including the cost of storage. So, there's some economic alternatives here when we're looking at taking that interest expense and getting ourselves into a different, economic position as far as, staying long the crop. Same thing on beans. If you take 200 acres of those soybeans, 3 months of interest, about $2,300. You could go out and buy one at the money call for about $1,750. And again, just to emphasize, this has nothing to do with the additional costs of storing the crop.
This is just, it goes back to, I think this is just really, really good information. And, now it's here, you pulled up our calculator for figuring this out. This is something that a lot of people forget as a hidden cost, but the cost is actually there. So, thanks. I think it's really good. And I think this is great information, for guys to use. What are your final thoughts when, looking at this, Patrick?
Yeah, the biggest thing is like clearly, obviously, on an interest per acre basis, it is cheaper to store beans. I do think it's important to remind ourselves or ask ourselves, why are we putting up bins? I think in the grand scheme of things, let's just be honest, they really should be used for logistical purposes and not necessarily to make up for poor marketing throughout the year. So just kind of keep that in mind. Obviously, as always, we talk about what can you live with, right? I mean, if you're not comfortable with the options or futures, you don't understand it, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's our job to bring you guys the information and show you these numbers. They're real numbers that are out there. I mean, I could find a way to use $3,000 in my pocket.
No, I agree 100%. And the big thing we always want to remind guys is, our 800 number is on the report daily. When we have information like this, do not be afraid to call us and ask questions. Patrick and I be more than, I can help you walk through the interest information. And if you want to talk more about, option strategies. Patrick or Emily could help you out in the office with that. But do not be afraid to reach out to us. With questions that you have. We are here to help.
Yeah, if you guys want to take a look at this calculator, let us know. We'll get it emailed over to you. It's pretty simple. You can adjust the numbers for your own operation. But again, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. We always enjoy making the content for you, and God bless.